Hey guys, welcome back to Etheria Restart. Now, sadly, we are in the final day of the beta, which means it's coming to an end, but we are getting closer to the release at June 5, and I want to have a bit of a general discussion. Now, none of this stuff that I say in this video, or basically any videos until closer to global launch, is going to be confirmed information with suggestions and stuff like that, because Jack did confirm over on our stream of the tournament last night. If you missed that, you can check out the VODs of the live streams on the channel. He confirmed that they are going to be doing some balancing changes, but they will give us patch notes. So everything that I say in this video and future videos that are, pre-launch, I will put a disclaimer at the start saying, things can change, and that will definitely change the way we view things. But in this one, I want to have a discussion about the selector summon you get at the start. Now, first of all, I want to give you guys an insight into my thoughts on what I'm going to do personally at Global. Once again, this is subject to change. I'm personally going to reroll for Lily. I still think Lily is the one. I think Heinrich is absolutely massive for general PvE and stuff like that, especially when we look to Robocop, who is Terra. I just always get the name wrong, and Aurora as well, which are two of the gear farms. The strip he has is absolutely amazing. A lot of the other PvE content where you need a heal block or a block buffs, he's going to be fantastic in. Yes, he's great, but I am still personally going to reroll for Lily because I think she is absolutely cracked, and I love her. Once again, could get changed. But Lily is the one that I will reroll for, and then I am going to play through the game and not actually use my selector. I'm happy to slow my progression at the start and not use my selector to see who I actually pull naturally from the standard banner. That is going to be my play. But when we look to the selector, if you could only get one SSR. Now, coming into this beta, I was 100% all in on Tiamat. Tiamat in the last beta absolutely dominated everything. She got you to the stage where you could easily farm the hardest level of the dungeons, and that is where the big thing changes, because the dungeons have got a lot harder at max difficulty, which is the Inferno difficulty, which I will show you guys in a sec. And Tiamat, my play was, I enjoyed the PvP. So she was great for PvP, and she could get me to the basic farming of endgame that I needed to do, and I thought that was a great mix. However, there is a few other things to consider, and there is, in my opinion, there is two other characters that are really in the mix for contention for me. One, not for me personally, but I think is a great option, and the other one is the one that I may actually go for at launch, because I think she is going to give me the most benefit for what I am aiming for. But let's talk about the first other one. Once again, I still do think Tiamat is a great option. I want to have a chat about these characters and their options as the selector, once again, subject to change on balancing changes. So, Real Mocha. She is basically cater-made to absolutely destroy the Doki Doki boss and get you farming the Inferno mode of it. So if you don't know, let's just jump over to the Inferno mode quickly. I was just there. If I go back, do I get there? Yes. Okay, so Doki Doki Doki. So this is the Inferno mode. You can see it just above my head. This one, once you get into Inferno, you can see we get these extra sets drop. Now, these are 6-piece sets. These are very impactful, and they only drop from the hardest difficulty of the dungeon, which is the Inferno mode. And these are going to be a big game changer. So being able to start farming these types of things very early on is going to be a great impact on your general account power if you can do it. And now with the Doki Doki boss, this isn't going to be a guide or anything. She summons a bunch of units. They get a 90%, you can read it here. Enemies have an extra 90% damage reduction effect, and basically you need to control them to remove it. But they have like a base 160 resistance, which is huge as well. So it's a very hard stat check in this one to be able to overcome the Doki Doki. Now, what Real Mocha has is you would just have to bring a strong CC unit, but if we go back over to the Real Mocha, and I don't know if it's Real Mocha, dude, I suck at names, it is what it is, but she has this ability here, so it hits the enemy 3 times. Now, the first hit will apply a stun on them, and then after that, she will continue to attack. So, I personally, if I was building for Doki Doki, I don't think I would try to build accuracy on my Real Mocha. I would bring someone else in to get the control effects to remove that debuff, because you'll be sacrificing way too much damage on Real Mocha to get that. But the thing is, what she does is it's a big single target attack, and if you read what the splash damage is, it says here unaffected by damage boost or damage reduction effects, and cannot deal critical hits because it's dealing the damage that has already critted. So if it already crits on the single target and then it deals splash and that crits and does like double the damage of the instant crit already, that would have been broken. So it basically just splashes that damage, and if some of those enemies have not been controlled, well, it doesn't matter because it's going to deal the full damage, and that is is where the magic in Real Mocha is. Now, she does have another AoE on her skill too, and she is basically cater-made to defeating this Doki Doki dungeon. So I do think for a nice, easy playthrough of being able to get into endgame gear farming without stressing too hard, I think Real Mocha is going to be a good option. For me, I don't like that as much because there is a better general boss damage dealer that I like more. And that is going to be the one that I'm definitely leaning towards this. And that is Rosa. She is just dominating everywhere in the game currently. She is basic attack focused. She has follow-up attacks. She puts a debuff on her enemies. She has the crit rate up for your team. She has speed down for the enemy team, AoE, which is just like two really amazing debuffs, especially crit rate in this game. It may not, in a lot of games, you may be like, crit buff was never the greatest thing ever, but the substat rolls on crit rate are so low. Being able to get a buff of the crit rate so that you can guarantee yourself that gearing check requirement is absolutely fantastic. Then she has this Blade Heart Bloom. So it's a debuff that she puts on enemies, takes 15% extra damage from basic attack. When the carrier takes a critical hit as the main target, Rosa deals a follow-up attack to them with her basic attack. This effect can only be triggered one time per turn, and that is per turn of an ally. So it's not one time per Rosa turn. So Rosa can move, she can deal her massive AoE damage, and then she'll do the follow-up. Then her next ally can attack that enemy and crit them, she'll do a follow-up. The next ally can crit them, follow-up, crit them, follow-up. So it's per turn. It's absolutely fantastic, and this is making her be an absolute monster in the bossing, because when we look to the end game, as I mentioned, getting into farming high-level gear is something you can do with a Tiamat as well. You can get into here. It is a lot harder because the AI is stupid. You can see here there's not too many people on global. I think that's just about everyone. I'm not too sure. It took a while for anyone to actually clear this, but you can see, I've managed to clear this using Tiamat. Whoop, if I could get there it is. So I've managed to clear it using Tiamat, but that was me having to manual because Tiamat's stupid AI uses her skill 3 first, when really she needs to use her skill 2 first and help your team sustain. So unfortunately, AI is a problem. I'm hoping they will introduce a system where you can choose a character's ability priority. If that happens, then Tiamat gets a lot better for auto content. But as I mentioned, you will see there is a few Rosa clears in here because she can just deal so much damn damage. And she has that speed down debuff as well, which is very, very good. She does have a very high gear requirement because she does want the accuracy as well. And she does have a very high skill up priority. So she will eat a lot of your cubes for skill ups, but she is very powerful. And the thing that she does is she also is going to be best in slot for Aurora over here. When we look at people doing clears, you can see there's only 3 people on the server that have actually managed to clear Inferno mode Aurora, and they are all using Rosa as the main DPS because she is just so powerful, especially in the single target aspect. She also has really strong delay. Now, the other key aspect that I personally am going to look to is going to be the Union boss. Now, the Union boss, I ended up falling into, I was jumping into a guild with a bunch of guys from the last beta because we had a bunch of fun and we were going to join. Then we happened to fall into joining one of the a very, very competitive guild. And so in the competitive guild, I kind of want to contribute. So Rosa is going to allow me to contribute in the damage sense over here as well. So if you look at our actual Never Lucky with our top damage, this is actually a very interesting one where we are getting heavy work out of the Rahu because we are on the water rotation of the boss. So to my understanding, this will change elements along the way. And I think the best universal one, if you just had to have one DPS, would probably be the Rosa, because then if you come up against a green boss, everyone gets the, what's her face? The Liane. Sorry, my brain absolutely went into reboot mode and I couldn't think of her name. But yeah, everyone gets Liane as a free unit over here. So then she can cover that downfall. So I think for me, when I look to endgame PvE content, that is where Rosa really excels. Now, if we look to PvP, I still love the Tiamat. So if we look over here in the ranks, we can see Tiamat, no Tiamat. This is Jack, the producer. Massive shout out to Jack. But you can see, yeah, I'm using Tiamat. We got 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 another one over here. Once again, if you're not using T-Mat, a lot of people are using Messiah because he just hits like an absolute truck. Massive shout out to Adco. I don't know how to say his name. I've been chatting to him in DMs a little bit. Dude is absolutely goated using the old number 51, I think it is. Really cool team. As long as he outspeeds, he's pretty much going to win that every time. But you can see around the top here, a lot of people are just falling back to the T-Mat. She's an absolute monster. Now, the thing with PvP is meta changes quickly. People start countering T-Mat, T-Mat falls down. So there is that side of PvP. You can never just rely on one unit. Same with PvE. Units can get power crept, but the thing with Rosa that I do like is that she is really solid damage. She can get us through the Doki Doki boss. She can get us into the Aurora, because as I mentioned, there's only 3 people that have cleared Aurora, and they are doing it with Rosa because she is so powerful for that boss. And, you know, having that entry level really strong and some really strong guild boss damage is going to be really nice. But T-Mat is definitely the PvP option. I can't really show you in real-time arena. So the real-time arena has closed now. We finished in rank 14, which I was pretty happy with in the end. Now, you don't actually get to see because often T-Mat is getting banned in matches. So these teams that you see are kind of like placeholders you can't rely on. But just note, I don't think I've ever played a PvP match where my opponent or myself did not pick T-Mat. And I don't think I've ever really watched a match where she has not been picked. So she is very, very strong in PvP. But for me personally, as a free-to-play player, I think I'm going to, at the moment, I'm still tossing it up in the air. I'm tossing up between the T-Mat and the Rosa. Because even, like, I love T-Mat, but in these betas, my main focus has been to push the PvP. However, when it gets to global launch, I know I'm not going to be able to do that. I haven't actually done my attacks yet today, but if you're really trying to push PvP, you're buying 10 tickets per day, which that is 300 extra gems, which is 3 pulls per day. I will not be doing that on global. So I already know that global, I am not going to be pushing PvP the way I did in the betas because I've now got to manage my account the way I would manage it for a long-term playing sort of prospect. So that is why I think I am going to focus more in on the Rosa, and she is leaning towards the one that I want to get just because of that easier access into especially easier access into, if we go over here, module, into the Aurora, because Aurora has a lot of key sets that everyone who's going to be farming the Doki dungeon, they're going to be getting a lot of speed. But over here, we do have access into 2 very key ones, which is the immunity set, the Bulwark set, which lets you start with immunity, which is really handy in PvP, and another very important one, which is going to be the Bloodbath set. When the total damage taken in a turn exceeds 20% of max HP, the excess damage is additionally reduced by 55%. This is a very powerful PvP set. So maybe on global, if I pick Rosa, I kind of try and move into Aurora as soon as possible so that I can farm these 2 sets and sort of have a counter play to all the speed that goes around from people that are going to be farming Doki. Now, once again, on launch, I don't expect to be in the top 100, 200. I don't expect to be up there because I won't be buying tickets. So that's just going to naturally push me down. And I'm happy to do that. And I think the Rosa is going to be the way to go ahead and maybe get into some of this counterplay arena to maybe bait people into attacking me so that I can climb on defense and stuff like that. But once again, it is going to be a very hard choice for me at the moment. My thoughts are weighing into one of those 3 characters between Tiamat, Mocha, and Rosa. Mocha just because for a more relaxed person who just wants to go, like, listen, I'm going to easy get into farming. That way I can just AFK farm something at max difficulty without stressing too hard. Well, that is going to be fine. So I think Mocha is going to be for that. But for me, I think I want to grind a bit more. And I think through the early game, Tiamat is going to provide a much better experience through the early game into hell mode dungeons. But once you get into that Inferno, if you can deal with not having that extra sustain and tankiness of bringing Tiamat early on, and you can get through with Rosa, I think you will reap the benefits later on. So that is kind of the toss-up that is happening in my head at the moment between who I go for. I honestly still don't know who I'm going to go for. I'm probably going to wait, see if they do any balancing changes, and sort of make my decision based on that. But I will keep you guys updated. I just wanted to have a discussion about it. Now, there are definitely some other options you guys can take. You're not going to completely destroy your account by taking someone else. But when I look to what I think those are the 3 main options for me personally that I consider to be the highest value ones. Once again, I will be rerolling for Lily. Lily pairs amazingly well with both Tiamat and Rosa. So if I get them, the other thing is we do have an event which lasts for the first 7 days of your account, which is not here at the moment, but it is the reset event. So you get to reset a character. Now, one character that you will have to do a reset on, which I will recommend, is going to be the Lian, because you get forced in her missions to skill her up twice, which is not a great investment of skill ups in the early game. So I definitely will use a reset on her, but then you get like 5 other resets. They do cost gems. I think it's like 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 or something like that. And so if I happen to pull a Tiamat and then select a Rosa, I would still build the Tiamat through the early game and then just reset her later on and swap that investment over to the Rosa. Hell, I might even leave Tiamat and just build Rosa as well. But that way I can swap that investment over to Rosa and then get some good value out of it. Now, Tiamat, the thing that really excites me for her future potential in the gear farming and stuff like that is her shield is a very important ability. Her shield really, really helps your team's survival. As I mentioned over in the Doki Doki farm, I managed to easily clear Doki Doki if I just put it on manual when my Tiamat is coming out of her demon form and make her use her skill 2 instead of her skill 3. Her skill 2 puts a shield on and a heal over time. It just protects your team so damn well. And if you just do that and make that the one change that you have, it's pretty much good. So if they ever introduce a setting like that, I think Tiamat's value becomes a lot stronger, because then she becomes more of a support unit that can deal damage as opposed to someone who just nukes her own HP, dies, and struggles in PvE auto mode. So I think if we get the option to change her to use a skill 2, she becomes a great support. She becomes a great support over in Aurora because she provides that support, but then she can also provide some extra damage. I don't know if anyone used, yeah, you can see we've got a Tiamat user over here, probably playing on manual to use that shield as the option, because her taunt does nothing in this. So you would only be using her skill 2 and her skill 1 in this battle, not her skill 3. But, you know, it's just something to think about as we move forward. There's always going to be changes in the game that unlock different abilities, but that is what we are looking at the moment. Once again, guys, just a discussion. I'm really excited about the launch, still undecided, keen to see what these updates are and what any balancing changes they make, but I will keep you guys updated. Once again, I'll have a bit more content before the release, but I'm hanging out for the release of the game. Let me know who you guys are thinking about grabbing for your selector, and as always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.